From smoothly moving platforms to this working eye scanner, here are 67 mind-blowing build hacks that you need to try. Like this working conveyor belt. Instead of transporting items through hoppers, pistons and honey blocks can be arranged like this to get a much more impressive way to move our dropped goodies. It makes for a pretty good way to automatically sort and organize your stuff. Now, you might think this is just a boring patch of grass, but really, it's the entrance to my secret base. As user Loombi shows, by placing redstone in this way, with pistons above and a layer of honey and slime, we've got a hideout that blends right into the surrounding area and is sure to keep your home from prying eyes.
Oh, hey, Bonks! What's going on?
Activate social avoidance mode! Although, if showing off is more your style, this small mountain home design is a real winner. The stairs and trapdoors give it a lovely rounded shape, and the bedroom's got a sweet view. Especially great for a starter house. At least better than I usually make. Although, if you're tired of mobs trespassing on your dang property, then it's time for an invisible fence. See, mobs don't like berry bushes very much, and as such, always avoid walking through them. Using this to our advantage, we can place a row of them underneath some moss carpet to create a barrier that no mob will be willing to cross, all while we can pass over it with no problems. Armor stands are great, but they do feel a little out of place in a bedroom build. Though, by just placing around some different doors, we can instead have a lovely wardrobe to pick our next outfit from, which only looks better if you pair it with trimmed armor like this that's made to look like a suit. Ooh, fancy. Now you might think that powered rails are the fastest way to move a minecart, but you'd be wrong. As it turns out, by placing normal rails in this weird pattern and hopping inside a minecart, you can actually move faster than you would otherwise. And though it does require more rails overall, you don't have to worry about crafting powered rails, which is great for saving resources. This is a waterfall. Pretty lame, right? Well, it won't be. If we just place some campfires underneath the ground and add a bit more water, we can upgrade our little leak into a powerful downpour of H2O, replicating the cascades of real-life waterfalls to make them feel more powerful and imposing. Actually, I'm having second thoughts about this! Oh, hey, I'm alive! Now, we all know that sugarcane can't be placed without water nearby, but what about lava? Well, okay, not actually. See, funnily enough, these plants won't break if we quickly remove the water with a sticky piston. Then, you can just swap it out with whatever to confuse your friends, which works great until you harvest it, because then the whole thing just kind of falls apart. This room is completely lit, and yet there's not a torch in sight. How is this possible? Well, as it turns out, shulker boxes don't register as solid blocks, and thus allow light to pass right through them. So by hiding some lights behind these boxes, we've now got a way to brighten up our rooms without it being obvious. Plus, the shulker boxes double as a pretty sneaky way to store your items. While most flying machines utilize pistons to keep on moving, it is actually possible to get a completely smooth flying platform like this instead. Making use of a special data pack, a platform like this can be set up to move via commands, which can make for a fun parkour challenge or an easy way to travel to your base. In the past, we've shown that windy banners can be utilized for a cool moving lights effect. However, using the same technique also allows us to build up this large face that'll blink and wink at us. Almost like he knows something he's not telling me. Wait, no! Ah! Now, as frogs are all too aware, a drip leaf is really more of a drop leaf. Though, what the frogs don't know is that by placing redstone nearby, we can actually prevent the leaf from ever drooping, allowing us to use the plant for things like benches or tables. But it's also just a good thing to know, especially if you ever find yourself on the receiving end of a prank. Now, using a button to open doors is fine, but it doesn't look very impressive. Enter the eye scanner, and all you need is a bucketed pufferfish placed inside a fence with an added trapdoor and piece of redstone. Then, when getting close to the observer, the pufferfish will grow and open up the door for you. No button pressing required. Now, the Wither is one of the most feared mobs in Minecraft, and for good reason. So if you ever want to give someone a scare, try building one of these into your next wall. Using stairs and the proper nether bricks, we can create this rather intimidating intimidating design that can serve as either a spooky decoration or a terrible warning. Ooh, a random lever! I better pull it. If you're like me, you like to keep a clean base. And thankfully, we've got this working Roomba here to clean up shop. Though it's actually just a shepherd villager trapped beneath the floorboards. And as he rides around, he's actually able to pick up dropped food items like carrots or potatoes, helping to keep the whole place spotless. Don't use levers like this, but rather use them like this. See, due to the way they can be positioned, levers are one of the most versatile blocks that you can use to add extra detail. Whether it's to hang lanterns off of, add support to a platform, or just spice up a build's geometry, they're an inexpensive way to make your creations feel just a little more impressive. Ain't that right, Skelly?
Sure is. Now let me go!
Not after all the war crimes you've committed, buddy. Now, this guy is the perfect decoration for any dungeon. And with the use of a command block, anyone can summon their own bony prisoner to keep their enemies company.
What are you in for?
Come closer, and I'll show you.
Okay.
This is a bubble elevator, but while you might have seen something like it before, this one is special because thanks to user Gwent Gamer, we can see that by just rotating the torch in the center like a dial, we can tell the elevator which specific floor we want to visit. And then the redstone behind it will do the rest, which definitely beats stairs. Oh boy. Here's why you should build your next floor out of barrels instead of literally anything else. First off, when placed around like this with some spruce planks, it makes for an awesome, unique pattern. But even more than that, because they're barrels, they double as a sneaky way to store your items, which is fantastic. Well, until you forgot which barrel you left your elytra in. Instead of playing Minecraft on an Xbox, why not play an Xbox in Minecraft? Well, thanks to custom player heads and armor stands, we have a great way to recreate this gaming console in our houses. And while that might alone be enough to make your friends jealous, when pairing it with a TV and speaker build like this, well then they just won't be able to resist.
I want that TV!
Hey, Ned, no! Now, I'm sure we all know how dangerous dripstone can be. I mean, I've died to it more than I'd like to admit. However, by collecting some and layering it around like so, we can see that the stuff does also make for quite the intimidating wall. And I gotta say, I think this works a lot better for a fortress barricade than the standard walls we're all used to. Minecarts can be useful when you're looking to move stuff around, but I say that's thinking too small, unless you're tiny bonks. So instead, what if we created a working train made from a number of different redstone components and a lot of slime? This functional design allows you to move multiple minecarts without having to worry about any runaways. And it just looks plain cool. Unlike deserts, which I think we can all agree look bland, especially with this gross grass color. So instead, why not try swapping out that grass for more colorful moss? It'll make the place look much more vibrant, which works especially well for a lush oasis vibe. At least until we get real oases in the game. Being made of swaying cloth means that banners also make for some great hanging curtains for our builds, which is not only fantastic for bringing in more color and detail, but if placed to cover over it like so, then you also have a way to close yourself off from the outside world. Look at them, dancing around like fools, when they could instead be sitting perfectly still inside of a comfy chair. Ooh, though you can't actually sit in this. At least, not until we shove a minecart in there, because then you'd actually be able to use your chair, which makes for a lovely dinner set. Oh, I do so love our little chats.
Yes, we've got that Sigma Skibbity Riz.
I despise you. Harvesting crops can often be disappointing. I mean, you could get 5 potatoes, but nah, you're just getting 2. Though, when the crops are this big, I'd expect more. At the very least, making some of these large beetroots from mangrove wood and a potted propagule is a surefire way to give yourself the biggest green thumb. When placing TNT in Minecraft, you've gotta act fast to give yourself enough time to escape. Though that's not the case with this ticking time bomb. See, by rigging TNT up to the proper redstone components, we're able to build an explosive that won't go off until all the items in its chest have been moved through the hopper, even creating a constant ticking sound as it goes, which, if hidden inside your friend's house, is guaranteed to get on their nerves. Well, until their explosive end. Now, we've got blocks and we've got half slabs, but what are trapdoors? Like half of a half slab? Though it might not seem like much, when paired with other blocks in a design like this, these thinner blocks can help bring extra dimension to your builds, which looks great up until someone comes and flips them all the wrong way, Ned!
What? It looks better this way. Wait, is that a lightning rod? Ah!
Now, this is a block swapper, and unlike the more complex design that we've showed off in the past, this version is incredibly simple to make and will fit just about anywhere. Though, while it is convenient to have in smaller spaces, I personally can't get over how smooth the swapping is. Honestly, I could just stand here flipping this switch for hours. Ah! What the? Is that a tank?
Oops, sorry. I'm still getting the hang of this dang thing.
Whoa, it looks like it was made using a bunch of different copper blocks and some deep slate for the treads. And if a mini TNT launcher was added to the top, I bet it would even be functional.
Okay, attempt number 2. Fire! What the? Ah!
Now, iron bars and glass panes can connect to walls, but not fences, which just doesn't seem fair. Though, thankfully, with the debug stick, we can actually change the block state of different elements to get slightly illegal results, including mixing together any of the glass, bars, fences, or walls that we want, which, at least for walls and fences, should really just be in the game by now. If you're like me, then you like to hide secrets around your base. Though, more than some chests, check out this portal. Aside from just being hidden in the bookshelf, it's also set up to deactivate when closed and reactivate when open, thanks to the redstone behind it, which means you won't have to deal with those piglins randomly popping in to say hi.
Oh, hey, nice place you got. Ah!
Smokers are great for cooking the steaks, but all that smoke they create cannot be healthy. So maybe consider clearing the air with one of these vents. From both the top and bottom, looms make for a convincing design, and if placed around like so with campfires underneath, they're perfect for adding in some animated detail to your next base. Just don't stand too close. With update 1.21 came a ton of new blocks to build with, but the new copper bulbs might just steal the show. See, thanks to their unique look, they're amazing for creating various wall light patterns, and you can even use the oxidized versions to create a gradient look that you can't get from the other lighting blocks. Looking at you, glowstone! Even if there aren't any crows to scare, I'd still recommend building one of these guys on your next farm. Because though you could get a similar look with a hay bale and carved pumpkin, by instead using a block display command, we can summon this guy to guard our farms. And who knows, maybe it'll scare off a creeper or two. This is how far you can throw a chicken egg. And this is how far I can throw a chicken egg. Though it's certainly cheating. By placing soul soil underwater like so, the bubbles here will actually continue to carry our projectile until it hits the shore, which can make for a fun way to fire off arrows or be used in a game of skill. Hey! First try! If you saw one of these, what would you do? Investigate and risk attack? Or cower and die of suspense? Both great choices, I know. But since placing skulk veins over barrier blocks looks just like skulk leaves, building a random skulk tree in the middle of nowhere is a devious way to confuse any player, especially if you start replacing their base's trees. You could even hide a warden around for good measure, though that might be a little mean. Instead of sleeping in a bed, try sleeping in this hammock. They can be built around anywhere you've got two trees, and will allow you to stare up at the beautiful night sky instead of that boring ceiling. Just make sure to keep your yard well lit. You don't want to visit from the creeper fairy. Ah! Now, I don't know about you, but I can never find drowned when I need them, and they always show up when I don't. I mean, I'm just gonna have to give up on a trident at this point.
Don't do that!
What the? My inner voice?
Don't be a wimp. Just use this cool new sea mine.
Whoa!
Whoa, indeed. When built underwater, these can provide protection from even the harshest mobs.
Oh, that's super helpful. Well, as long as the fish don't get curious. Torches have long been a reliable way to light up any base, though I, for one, am sick of them. Thankfully, it turns out that glowberries make for quite the beautiful chandelier, allowing us to light the area with a more natural design that doesn't require any coal to craft. Very fancy. Minecraft might not have ghosts, unless you count the LA, but that's not gonna stop us from making our own. And as you can see, by using stained glass and specially dyed banners, we can get a look that will fit right into any haunted house.
Ha! Is that the best you got? Boo! Ah!
Check out this functioning vault door. Another build by user Loomby. It requires quite a bit of redstone to replicate, though once finished, it makes for an awesome high-tech way to store your valuables and make sure no one gets in or out. Uh-oh. Instead of placing snow all around the inside of your base, just build one of these air conditioners to cool off. It's incredibly easy to throw together, and though small, it does help the place feel just a little more lived in. Sometimes it's the tiny details that make the biggest difference. Like these candles. Normally, they're just used as, well, candles. However, by placing them on top of iron bars like this, we can make a wall that appears to have spikes coming off the top. And though it would break the illusion by lighting each one, it would make for a handy way to prevent hostile mobs from spawning nearby. Not that the mobs would be able to get to you on one of these bad boys though, because even though it's small, this raft base is great to build when you just want a simple home away from home, especially as it's got everything you could ever want. A bed, a farm, and a head in a jar? Huh. Well, it looks like it was made using a custom player head on an armor stand with some glass pushed over it. But, where's its body?
Last I remember, I was running through the overworld, having the time of my life, when I ran straight into a fake door and died!
Ew, that's my bad.
I'm freaking dead, dude!
Well, you gotta admit, using a combination of blocks in this way to add fake shadows and depth is pretty impressive. Oh, hey, and there's your body!
Oh, thank goodness.
Ooh, a zombie!
Redstone lamps are already great, but they can get even better. Because by just placing a minecart behind a row of lamps like so, we can make it so the lights are animated to look like they're moving. And after seeing something like this, now I'm inclined to build one at every opportunity, even if it doesn't make sense. Now, you might not have known this, but sea pickles are actually useful. Here, I'm referring to the fact that if placed on top of a pumpkin or melon, it looks exactly like a stem, which for me means I'm never decorating with old Jack here unless one is placed on top. If you're looking to up your building game and look super smart while doing it, then you need one of these chess tables. All it takes are a couple armor stands with chainmail helmets all pushed into each other, then topping it off with some piston-pushed blocks and candles for the game pieces. It's the ultimate test of wits!
Ha! Checkmate.
What? That's cool. Hey, look, a cat!
I'm not falling for that.
No, really, look! There are cats all over that cat house!
What? Where?
And what a cat house it is!
Hey!
Created from an assortment of common blocks and end rods, this is a house worthy of any feline. They especially love the floor string. Almost as much as they hate the water from this lovely working shower. Since water buckets can both be dispensed and collected from a dispenser, placing one above like this with some simple redstone to connect it makes for an easy way to stay clean after a long day down in the mines. Now, little torch, meet big torch. Though it looks quite professionally built, this glorified lamp is actually an incredibly simple and inexpensive way to add some flair to your lair, especially when placed around all over. Building in Minecraft is easy, but building something that looks good, well, that's a little trickier. However, using this simple technique of placing blocks around the edges is an easy way to add depth to a build and make anything look more impressive. Especially, wait, is that a drone? What the heck? Whatever happened to player privacy?
Haha, now I can finally see where he hides all his emeralds!
Huh, well, looks like it's made from copper trapdoors, levers, and some redstone stuff. A pretty cool build, but this is a restricted airspace.
Yeah. Hey! Oh, darn it.
With the addition of mud in the wild update, we were all given plenty of new blocks to play with, though they can work together in some really interesting ways. Take the mud and roots blocks, for example. On their own, they're nothing special, but when placed in this way, we now have a smooth looking way to transition from block to block. Sometimes, getting out of bed is the hardest thing you have to do. Though, thankfully, we can make this working alarm clock. By setting up various redstone components like so, the daylight sensor will register when the sun's up and make sure you know it. Okay, snooze! Whew. Woke up just in time for my picnic. Made from wool and carpet with sea pickle cups and wooden plates, this is the perfect spot for when you want to just sit back, relax, and take in the beautiful sights. Ooh, and yummy cake smells. Look, I can even place a trident in an invisible item frame, and it looks like a fork. Too bad I'm just gonna use my hands. When dyed light blue, stained glass matches the color of ice perfectly. And knowing this, we can take some stained glass panes and dot them around the edges of our builds to look exactly like icicles, which in a snowy biome really does a great job of selling the colder climate. Trapdoors work well as doors, but work even better as guardrails. Since they're so thin, when placed along the sides of a build, they're a great looking and easy way to make sure you don't accidentally walk backwards to your doom. Well, as long as you keep them flipped the right way. By just placing down a honey block with a couple trapdoors and a tripwire hook, you've now got a little sap farm for your rustic forests. And what I like about this build is that if paired with other blocks, we can make it look like we're collecting the liquids of the other trees too, though the locals might not appreciate the thievery. While we've long had colorful blocks like concrete to use in our creations, we have yet to see slabs or stairs, leaving us to either use planks or even better, beds. Because if we again turn to the debug stick, beds can be messed with to hide their texture, essentially giving us a flat, colorful slab, at least from the right angle. Now, we've seen big tanks, but check out this tiny tank. Built from anvils with item frames on the sides, trapdoors on top, and a boat to finish it off, we've got a much more compact design that you or your chickens can ride in. Now, bamboo is the fastest growing plant in Minecraft, and as such, farming this stuff can be a real strain on the old frame rate. So if you're looking to chop, build one of these bamboo farms. By placing chains above the plants like so, we can limit their growth to make them easier to harvest. And the same applies to sugarcane and cactus, so you can grow a new video? What the? Okay, well, why not give it a click? I know I would.